Thank you, Mark, and a big hello from London. Well, there's a lot to go through this week. You see, we not only have the weekly key reversals to digest from last week, but also the much longer term monthly key reversals that we saw in November. So let's get cracking with the monthly key reversals for November. The first ones ought not to be a surprise to anyone. We had a monthly key reversal down in Ethereum and also in Bitcoin. There has not been any immediate move lower in December, but that is hardly surprising given these are longer term patterns, but I thought you ought to know. We next had a monthly key reversal down in US dollar against the Chinese yuan, the onshore spot US dollar CNY. Interestingly, we did not see this in the NDFs nor in US dollar CNH, the offshore Chinese yuan, but we did have it here in the onshore rate. The question now is whether the subsequent move lower, and there has been a move lower, was due to this monthly key reversal down, or was it due to the weekly key reversal down we saw last week as well? I'll look at this further very shortly. The only other currency in which we had a monthly key reversal was a monthly key reversal down in US dollar against the Malaysian ringgit. Next is spot gold, and we had a monthly key reversal up here, which has had, to say the least, seen mixed signals this week. I cover this more in my daily spot gold video commentaries. We also had a monthly key reversal up in LME 3-month zinc. This has all sorts of interesting things going on, as you can see by my colourful daily chart. Notably, a mid-September to date reverse head and shoulders bottom that has aided this market. I cover this more in depth in my weekly metals commentary, published only yesterday. In the futures, we had a monthly key reversal down in ICE Brent crude oil, which I suppose was not the biggest surprise, as we are testing prices last seen in January this year. We're seeing a follow-on lower already, and I cover this in greater depth in my daily Brent crude oil video commentary. Now, two related futures markets. Paris Rapeseed futures had a monthly key reversal down, which was seen a follow-on, but halting at the September low at 569.5. I'll cover this in greater depth in my veg oils and oilseeds video commentary tomorrow. Then there is Winnipeg Canola futures, which also had a monthly key reversal down. But the picture here is different, not so clear, and with an outside week last week as well. This I'll also cover in greater depth in my video commentaries tomorrow. Finally, for the TikTok generation, in the monthlies we had a weekly key reversal up in AMC stock of the US. Interestingly, we also had a weekly key reversal up last week as well, and nothing so far has supported either pattern. Indeed, it has seen some aggressive selling this week after what looked like a move higher last week. I guess it was a combination of the overhead and slowly declining medium moving average, currently 856, and the long moving average, currently 907, that have capped and killed the recent rise. Okay, so now over to the weekly key reversals for last week, and we had quite a few. In the currencies, we had weekly key reversals up in US dollar against the South African rand and sterling against the South African rand, whilst we had weekly key reversals down in US dollar against the Brazilian real and US dollar against the Indonesian rupiah. However, the most interesting were by far the weekly key reversals we had in the Chinese yuan. As I've already mentioned, we had a weekly key reversal down in US dollar CNY, the onshore spot Chinese yuan, which ties in with the monthly key reversal down that we also had there. But we also had weekly key reversals down in US dollar CNY 1-month NDF, the US dollar CNY 1-year NDF, and in the US dollar CNH, the US dollar versus the offshore Chinese yuan. So these all tie in together and all have what appears to be a head and shoulders top of varying degrees that has no doubt helped this situation. But this doesn't just end there, as we have had weekly key reversals up in the Chinese CSI 300 stock index and the Shanghai Composite Stock Index. Indeed, we might have swept across the board with the same pattern in the Chinese Shinex Stock Index, except that the market there made the lesser cousin of the weekly key reversal up, the outside week instead. Nevertheless, all these are very, very interesting. However, elsewhere, the weekly key reversals up we saw in the NASDAQ Composite Stock Index, And the NASDAQ 100 stock index did not deliver this week on what was being built last week. In the metals, we had a weekly key reversal up last week in LME 3-month copper, which hasn't really shown that much promise this week. Nor has the weekly key reversal up in LME 3-month aluminium. In our ICE Gasoil futures, we had a weekly key reversal down last week, which has shown some interesting follow-through lower this week. In the agricultural commodities, we had an interesting dichotomy. Occurring at the same time, we had a weekly key reversal up in Chicago B Meal futures, and a contrary weekly key reversal down in Chicago bean oil futures. Both of these have had excellent and immediate follow-on higher and lower moves as appropriate. I'll cover this in greater depth in my weekly veg oil and oilseeds commentary tomorrow. We also have had a weekly key reversal down in Chicago corn futures last week that had broken the back of some significant supports and already achieved some targets on the downside. I'll cover this one in greater depth in my grains and starches video commentary on Friday. Finally, two slightly obtuse and obscure ones. We had a weekly key reversal up in the Philex Semiconductor Index, which has not shown any incentive in moving higher. And as I mentioned earlier, we also had a weekly key reversal up in AMC stock, to tie in with my earlier commentary on the monthly key reversal up we had in this stock. And neither of these two actions has helped the market move higher. It has in fact seemingly spurred the opposite. I'm always happy to answer any direct questions of anyone who's interested, and with that I'll finish this section from London, and I hope you found these comments useful.